The rain hammered against the pavement like 1,000 angry fists. Emma Carter stood on the corner of Fifth Avenue, arm raised, watching yellow cabs blur past in streams of light and water. Her watch read 8:27 a.m., 33 minutes until her life changed. Or so she thought. The interview at Thorne Enterprises was everything. 3 years of night school, 2 dead-end jobs, one last shot at something real. Then she saw him. A man in a charcoal suit stumbled near a street lamp, hand clutching his chest. His face was pale, lips parted in a silent gasp. He dropped like a puppet with cut strings. People flowed around him like water around a stone. No one stopped. No one looked twice. Emma's fingers tightened on her bag strap. If she helped him, she'd miss everything. But his chest was barely moving, and his eyes were wide with the kind of fear that strips away pretense. She dropped to her knees beside him. "Sir, can you hear me?" His blue eyes found hers, sharp even through the haze of pain. His voice came out rough, barely audible over the traffic. "Leave me, not happening." She dialed 911, gave the address, pressed her coat under his head. His breathing was shallow, erratic. Rain soaked through her blouse. Her phone buzzed. 8:41 a.m. The interview was starting without her. "You're insane," he whispered, staring up at her. "You don't even know me. Guess that makes 2 of us." The ambulance arrived in a scream of sirens. Paramedics swarmed him, lifting him onto a stretcher. One of them glanced at Emma. "Good thing you stayed. Another 5 minutes, and we'd be talking about a different outcome." She watched them load him into the ambulance, watched the doors slam shut, watched her future disappear in flashing red lights. By the time she reached Thorne Enterprises, it was over. The receptionist barely looked up. The position's been filled. Emma stood there, dripping rainwater onto marble floors, her chest hollow. She'd saved a stranger and lost everything. 3 days later, the letter arrived. Thick paper, gold embossing, an address she didn't recognize on the Upper East Side. "Miss Carter, your presence is requested tomorrow at 7 p.m. Someone wishes to thank you properly. A car will be sent, no signature. Just an address that made her stomach flip when she searched it online. A penthouse. Worth $30 million? Emma's hands trembled as she set the letter down. Who the hell did I save? The penthouse smelled like old money and new secrets. Floor 2 ceiling windows framed Manhattan like a painting. Emma stood in the marble foyer, feeling like an imposter in her thrift store dress. Then he walked in, the man from the sidewalk, but different, stronger. His suit was perfectly tailored now. His dark hair swept back, those blue eyes sharp and assessing. He moved like someone who owned the air around him. "Miss Carter." His voice carried the weight of boardrooms and billion-dollar decisions. "You," Emma's breath caught. "You're Adrian Thorne, CEO of Thorne Enterprises." He poured 2 glasses of scotch, handed her one. "The company where you missed your interview." The room tilted. Emma set the glass down before she dropped it. "That's some coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences." He studied her like she was a puzzle he needed to solve. "You saved my life. You sacrificed your career to keep a stranger alive. Why?" "Because it was the right thing to do." Most people don't do the right thing when it costs them everything. Adrian moved closer. The city lights cast shadows across his face, making him look almost dangerous. "Oh, I looked into you, Emma. 3 years of night school while working 2 jobs. Perfect grades. References that call you the most dedicated person they've ever met. And you threw it all away for me." Crawled up her neck. "You had me investigated. I wanted to know who you were. What you wanted. I don't want anything from you." He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Everyone wants something. He pulled an envelope from his pocket, set it on the glass table between them. Emma's name was written across it in elegant script. "Open it." Her hands shook as she tore it open. Inside was a letter. An offer, executive assistant to the CEO. Starting salary, $180,000. Emma's vision blurred. "This is a debt." His voice was cold now, businesslike. "I don't like owing people. You saved my life. I'm giving you the career you lost. We're even. Something in his tone made her chest tighten. This wasn't gratitude. It was transaction. What if I say no? Adrian's jaw flexed. For a moment, something raw flickered in his eyes. Vulnerability, pain. Then it was gone, replaced by that impenetrable mask. Then you're a fool, maybe. Emma met his gaze, refusing to look away. But at least I'd be an honest one. Silence stretched between them like a wire pulled too tight. Finally, Adrian spoke, his voice low and rough. I'm dying, Emma. The words hit her like a fist. What? Congenital heart condition. That wasn't a random collapse. It was my body giving out. He turned to the window, his reflection ghostly in the glass. I have maybe a year. 2 if I'm lucky. The doctors say I need a transplant, but I'm too far down the list. Emma's throat closed. Why are you telling me this? He looked back at her, and for the first time, she saw the cracks in his armor. The fear he'd been hiding, 'cause you're the only person who stopped. The only one who cared whether I lived or died. And I need someone like that near me. Someone real. You're asking me to watch you die. I'm asking you to help me live while I still can. Emma's pulse pounded in her ears. This was insane. He was a stranger. A dying stranger offering her everything she'd ever wanted. Wrapped in a package of grief and borrowed time. She should walk away. Save herself the heartbreak. But when she looked at him, really looked at him, she saw the same desperation she'd seen on that rainy sidewalk. The fear of dying alone. I'll take the job, she whispered. But not because I owe you. Because you deserve better than dying surrounded by people who only care about your money. Adrian's expression softened, just barely. You don't know what you're agreeing to, and I guess we'll figure it out together. He extended his hand. Emma took it. His grip was firm, warm, alive. And in that moment, she realized she'd just made a deal with a man who had nothing left to lose. 3 months changed everything. Emma learned the rhythm of Adrian's days. Morning pills at 6 a.m., doctor appointments every Tuesday. The way his hand pressed against his chest when he thought no one was looking. She learned the man behind the CEO mask, someone who rebuilt his father's crumbling company at 25, who worked 18-hour days to prove he was more than his diagnosis, who'd never let anyone close enough to see him break. But she also learned the danger of proximity. The way her heart jumped when he smiled. The electricity when their hands brushed over documents. The ache in her chest when she watched him struggle to breathe after climbing stairs late nights in his office became something else. Conversations that had nothing to do with business. Adrian telling her about the mother who died when he was 12. Emma confessing about the father who left when she was 8. 2 broken people circling each other like planets caught in gravity. You're staring, Adrian said one night. Not looking up from his laptop. Emma blinked. They were alone in his penthouse office, rain streaking the windows. It was past midnight. I'm worried about you. Don't be. You collapsed twice this week. His jaw tightened. I'm fine. You're not fine. You're killing yourself with work. He slammed the laptop shut. When he looked at her, his eyes burned with something fierce and desperate. What do you want me to do, Emma? Sit around and wait to die? This company is all I have. It's the only thing that proves I existed. That's not true, isn't it? He stood, crossing to where she sat. I have no family, no real friends. Just employees and investors who'll forget me the moment I'm gone. I won't forget you. The words hung in the air between them. Adrian's expression cracked, vulnerability flooding through. Don't, he whispered. Don't make this harder than it already is. But Emma stood, closing the distance between them. Her hand found his chest, feeling the irregular beat of his damaged heart. It's already hard. Pretending I don't care about you. Pretending this is just a job. His hand covered hers. Emma, tell me you don't feel this too. His answer was to kiss her. It was desperate and hungry and tasted like goodbye. Emma's fingers curled into his shirt, pulling him closer. His hands tangled in her hair. The world narrowed to just this, his mouth on hers, his heart pounding against her palm. The terrifying certainty that she was falling for a man she couldn't keep when they finally broke apart. Adrian pressed his forehead to hers. This can't happen. Too late. I'm serious, Emma. I have months. Maybe less. I won't do that to you. You don't get to decide what I can handle. He pulled back, eyes searching hers. You'll hate me for this. For what? Adrian's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and something in his expression shifted. Closed off, the warmth drained from his eyes. You should go home. Adrian, what? Go home, Emma? Now. The coldness in his voice was like a slap. Emma stepped back, confused and hurt. What just happened? Nothing. I'll see you Monday. She left, but the unease followed her home. The email arrived at 2 a.m. Emma stared at her laptop screen, the words blurring through tears. It was from Adrian's private account. Attached was a document, a contract she'd never seen before. Dated the day before she was hired, confidential agreement, Emma Carter purpose. Companion services for terminally ill client compensation, $180,000. Annual duration, until death of client or termination of agreement, her stomach turned to ice. Below it was an email thread between Adrian and his lawyer. Find someone desperate enough to accept. Someone who won't ask questions. I need someone real, or at least someone who can fake it convincingly. Understood. I have a candidate. Emma Carter. She's perfect. Lost everything helping you. She'll be grateful, loyal, easy to control. Good. Make sure she never sees this agreement. Emma's hands shook so hard, she could barely scroll. There were more emails. Dozens. Adrian discussing her like a business transaction. Analyzing her psychological profile, calculating exactly how to manipulate her into caring about him. Every conversation. Every vulnerable moment. Every kiss, all of it was planned. She wasn't his assistant. She was hired emotional support, a paid companion to make his last months less lonely, and she'd fallen for it completely. The next morning, Emma walked into Adrian's office without knocking. He looked up, surprised. Then he saw her face. Emma, she threw the printed emails on his desk. You hired me to be your dying friend, to make you feel less alone. Everything was a lie. Adrian stood slowly. It's not, don't. Her voice broke. Don't you dare tell me it's not what it looks like. I read your emails. I was a business transaction. Someone desperate enough to be grateful for the crumbs you threw me. Guilt flashed across his face. At first, yes. But that changed when... When did it change, Adrian? When you kissed me? Or was that in the contract too? I fell for you. His voice was raw. I didn't plan that. I didn't want it. But it happened. How convenient. The dying man falls for his paid companion? That makes it all okay, right? I was scared. He moved toward her, desperation in his eyes. I was dying alone, and I didn't know how to ask for help. So yes, I hired you. But everything after that was real. Emma backed away. I can't believe anything you say now, Emma. Please, I quit. She turned to leave. Adrian grabbed her arm. Don't. I'll tell you everything. The truth. All of it. She yanked free. I don't want your truth. I want to never have met you. She walked out. Adrian called after her, his voice breaking. The heart attack wasn't random. Emma, someone's trying to kill me. Emma froze in the doorway. Slowly, she turned back. Adrian stood behind his desk, looking more exhausted than she'd ever seen him. Defeated? What did you just say? He sank into his chair. The heart condition is real. But that day on the street, someone triggered it deliberately. They've been poisoning me for months. Emma's mind raced. That's insane, is it? He pulled out a folder, slid it across the desk. My half-brother Marcus. He stands to inherit everything if I die without an heir. He's been slipping me low doses of digitalis, enough to weaken my heart gradually. Make it look natural. Emma opened the folder. Photos, lab reports. Financial records showing massive debts in Marcus's name. Why didn't you go to the police? Because I don't have proof he's doing it himself. He's smart, uses intermediaries. And if I accuse him publicly without evidence, it tips him off. Adrian's voice was hollow. That's why I hired you. Not just for companionship. I needed someone I could trust. someone who wasn't already compromised. So you lied to me and used me. Yes. No deflection. No excuses. I did, and I hate myself for it. Emma stared at him. At this broken, manipulative, desperate man who'd somehow gotten under her skin despite everything. You're still lying. I'm not. You are. Because if someone's trying to kill you, why keep me close? Why put me in danger? Adrian's composure cracked. Because I'm selfish. Because having you near me made dying less terrifying. Because for the first time in my life, someone looked at me and saw a person, not a bank account or a business opportunity. His hands shook as he poured himself water. I know I don't deserve your help. I know I destroyed any chance of you caring about me. But Marcus is escalating. He knows I'm getting sicker. If I die now, he wins everything. The company, the fortune, all of it. And he'll destroy everything my father built. Emma's chest tightened. She should walk away. Let these rich men destroy each other. But something in Adrian's eyes stopped her. The same desperation she'd seen on that rainy sidewalk. What do you need from me? Hope flickered across his face. Help me prove it. I have a plan, but I can't do it alone. And when this is over, when Marcus is in jail or whatever happens, then you never have to see me again. Emma closed her eyes. Every rational part of her screamed to run, but she'd never been good at the rational choice. Tell me the plan. 3 weeks later, Emma stood in Adrian's penthouse with Marcus Thorne. He was younger than Adrian, handsome in a calculated way, with the same blue eyes, but none of the depth. So you're the assistant everyone's talking about. Marcus's smile didn't reach his eyes. Adrian never could resist a charity case. Emma forced herself to smile. He's been very generous. I'm sure he has. Marcus poured himself whiskey from Adrian's bar. Where's my dear brother anyway? Doctor's appointment. Should be back soon. This was the moment. Emma's hand trembled as she pulled out her phone, pretending to check messages. The recording app was already running. Must be hard, Marcus continued, watching him deteriorate. Knowing there's nothing you can do, it's difficult. He's dying, right? Months at best. He moved closer, and Emma fought the urge to step back. When he's gone, there will be a transition period. I'll need someone who knows how Adrian ran things. Someone loyal. Her stomach churned. Are you offering me a job? I'm offering you security. Adrian won't be around to pay your salary much longer. But I will be. That's very kind. Marcus's hand brushed her arm. I take care of people who take care of me. All you have to do is keep me informed. His health status, his business decisions. Think of it as insurance. Emma's blood ran cold. He was trying to recruit her. To use her to monitor Adrian's final days. And if I say no? His expression hardened. Then you'll find yourself unemployed and unemployable. I have a lot of influence in this city, Miss Carter. It would be a shame if doors started closing for you. I understand. Good. He handed her a card. Call me when you're ready to discuss details. Or when Adrian has another episode, whichever comes first. The door opened. Adrian walked in, looking pale and weak. His eyes found Emma's, a silent question. She gave the tiniest nod. Marcus. Adrian's voice was cold. I didn't realize we had a meeting. It's just getting to know your staff. Making sure everything's in order. Marcus set down his glass. You look terrible, brother. Maybe you should rest. I'm fine. Of course you are. Marcus headed for the door, paused. Take care of yourself, Adrian. It would be tragic if something happened before you got your affairs in order. The threat hung in the air. When the door closed, Adrian turned to Emma. Did you get it? She held up her phone. Every word. Relief flooded his face. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. We need more. This proves he's opportunistic, not that he's poisoning you. Adrian nodded, but he swayed slightly. Emma caught his arm. When's the last time you took your medication? This morning, Adrian and I switched them. His voice was barely a whisper. 2 placebos. If Marcus is tampering with my pills, I needed to stop taking them. It's the only way to prove it. Emma's heart stopped. You're going without your heart medication? Are you insane? It's the only way you could die. I'm dying anyway. He cupped her face with one hand, and she hated how her body leaned into the touch. At least this way, it means something. Tears burned her eyes. I can't watch you kill yourself, and help me live long enough to finish this. Before she could respond, Adrian's eyes rolled back. He collapsed. Emma caught him, her scream echoing through the empty penthouse. At the hospital, the doctor's face was grim. His heart is failing rapidly. Without a transplant, he has days, maybe a week. Emma sat in the waiting room, her hands covered in Adrian's blood from where she'd tried to perform CPR. The sterile smell of antiseptic burned her nose. Marcus arrived an hour later. His concern, perfectly performed. How tragic. And so sudden, he sat beside Emma. You did everything you could. She wanted to claw his eyes out. He's not dead yet. No, but we both know it's only a matter of time. Marcus patted her hand. Have you thought about my offer? Emma looked at him. At this man who was killing his own brother for money? And she made a choice that would destroy everything. I need something more than a job. Interest sparked in Marcus's eyes. What do you want? I'm a perfect match for Adrian. Same blood type. The doctors mentioned it when they were running tests. The lie came easily. I want $5 million. In exchange, I'll make sure Adrian doesn't get a transplant. Marcus's smile was slow and predatory. Now we're speaking the same language. But I need proof you'll pay. A contract, smart girl. He pulled out his phone. I'll have my lawyer draft something. When can you do it? Emma's voice didn't shake. As soon as you transfer half the money? Deal. In Adrian's hospital room, Emma stood by his bedside. He was unconscious, breathing tube down his throat. Monitors beeping steadily. She leaned close and whispered, I'm sorry for what I'm about to do. Then she pulled out her phone and sent the recording of Marcus's confession to the FBI agent Adrian had been working with for months. The doors burst open 3 hours later. Federal agents flooded the hospital. Marcus was arrested in the lobby, screaming about illegal recordings and false accusations. But Emma had made her own recording. Marcus admitting to attempted murder, offering to pay for negligent homicide. It was over. Except for one thing. Adrian woke up 2 days later. Emma was sitting beside his bed when his eyes opened. You did it, he whispered, voice rough from the breathing tube. Marcus is in federal custody. They found evidence of the poisoning. You're safe. You saved me again. Emma shook her head. No, I'm leaving, Adrian. Pain flashed across his face. Emma, I can't do this. You lied to me. You used me. And I let you. I fell for a man who manipulated me from day one. Tears streamed down her face. Maybe your feelings became real. Maybe they didn't. But I'll never know for sure. And I can't live with that doubt. So that's it? You're just going to walk away? I'm going to save myself. For once, she stood, but Adrian caught her hand. I love you. That's real. I know I don't deserve you. I know I destroyed any chance we had, but it's real. Emma gently pulled free. Loving someone doesn't mean being with them. Sometimes it means letting them go. She walked to the door, paused. Get the transplant, Adrian. Live a long life. Be better than you were. Will I ever see you again? Emma looked back at him one last time. At this complicated, damaged, impossible man who'd changed everything. I hope not. The door closed behind her with a soft click, and Emma Carter walked away from the only man she'd ever truly loved. 18 months later, Emma stood in a Brooklyn art gallery, surrounded by her photographs, black and white images of Manhattan, strangers on sidewalks, moments of unexpected humanity in a concrete jungle. The opening night crowd murmured appreciation. Critics nodded. A red dot appeared next to one of her pieces, marking it sold. She'd rebuilt herself. Therapy, a small apartment, a career doing something that actually mattered. She thought about Adrian every day and hated herself for it. Excuse me, Emma turned. A woman in her 60s stood before her, elegant and sharp-eyed. I'm sorry to bother you, but I had to tell you how much I love your work. This one especially." She gestured to a photo of a man collapsed on a rainy street, a woman kneeling beside him. The shot Emma had taken with her phone that day before everything changed. "Thank you. My son owns this gallery, actually. He insisted on featuring you." The woman smiled. "I'm Margaret Chen. I run the Transplant Foundation at Mount Sinai." Emma's heart stopped. Adrian's hospital. Margaret's expression grew serious. "You know him?"
I did.
"A long time ago? He speaks about you often." Margaret touched Emma's arm gently. "He received his transplant 14 months ago. He's alive because of you. Not just because you saved him that day, but because you saved him from his brother." Tears pricked Emma's eyes. "How is he?" "Healthy, changed. He's been using his second chance well. The foundation, for one. He's funded transplants for over 200 people who couldn't afford them." Emma's throat tightened. "That's good. I'm glad he's okay. He asks about you. Every time I see him." Margaret pulled out a card. "If you ever want to reach out, no pressure. But I thought you should know, he never stopped thinking about you." Emma took the card with shaking hands. Margaret squeezed her shoulder. "For what it's worth, I've known Adrian Thorne for 5 years. The man I knew before was brilliant but hollow. The man he is now has a soul. You gave him that." After Margaret left, Emma stared at the card for an hour. Then she threw it away. She'd meant what she said. Sometimes loving someone means letting them go. A week later, Emma was shooting in Central Park when she saw him, Adrian Thorne, sitting on a bench reading a book. He looked different, healthier. The gray pallor gone from his skin. Laugh lines around his eyes that hadn't been there before. She could walk away. He hadn't seen her, but her feet carried her forward. "Hi." Adrian looked up. For a moment, he just stared. Then he stood slowly, like she might disappear if he moved too fast. "Emma, you look good. I feel good." He gestured to the bench. "Would you sit?" Just for a minute. Against every instinct, she sat. Silence stretched between them. The park bustled around them with joggers and children and people who weren't carrying the weight of a complicated past. "I saw your gallery show," Adrian said finally. "You're incredibly talented, thank you." I didn't approach you. I didn't want to ruin your night, I know. Margaret told me." He nodded. "She has a big mouth." Emma almost smiled. "How's the company?" "I sold it." At her shocked expression, he continued, "Keeping it meant holding on to the person I was. I didn't want to be him anymore. So I sold it, kept enough to live comfortably, and put the rest into the foundation." "That's very noble. Act selfish, actually. I'm trying to balance the scales. All the people I hurt, all the manipulation. I can't fix what I did to you, but maybe I can help other people." Emma looked at him. Really looked. The man beside her wasn't the desperate, dying CEO who'd hired her. This was someone rebuilt from the ground up. "I forgave you," she said quietly. "Months ago? Not because you deserved it, but because I needed to move on. I don't deserve it, I know." Adrian turned to face her fully. "I think about that day constantly. The day you walked away, you were right to do it. But I wonder sometimes if you ever think about what we could have been." Emma's chest ached. "Every single day." "Then why? Because thinking about it and living it are different things. We were born from lies and desperation. How do you build something real on that foundation? You don't." Adrian's voice was rough. "You burn it down and start over." He pulled something from his pocket. An envelope. "I wrote this 6 months ago. Been carrying it around ever since." He handed it to her. No manipulation. No schemes. Just the truth. Emma opened it with trembling hands. Inside was a single page. "Emma, I don't know if you'll ever read this. I don't know if I'll ever have the courage to give it to you, but I need to write it down. You asked me once when my feelings became real. The answer is the moment you knelt beside me in the rain. I saw something in your eyes I'd never seen directed at me before. Genuine care for a stranger. Not my money, not my power, just me as a person. Everything after that was me trying to keep you close while convincing myself I was in control. But I never was. You owned me from that first moment, and I was too scared and too broken to admit it. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't expect a second chance. But I needed you to know that every moment with you was the most real thing in my life. The lies I told were to protect myself, not to hurt you. That doesn't excuse them, but it's the truth. If you're reading this, it means I finally found the courage to face you. To admit that losing you was the worst consequence of all my choices. Not dying, not the company, not anything else. Just losing you. I love you. I will always love you. Adriana's vision blurred with tears. She folded the letter carefully and handed it back. Keep it. Adrian's face fell. Emma stood, and he stood with her. The autumn sun filtered through the trees, casting shadows across the path. I need time, she said. I need to trust that this version of you is real. That you're not still the man who hired me like I was a service he could purchase, however much time you need. And I need you to understand that we might never get back what we lost. Too much damage, too many lies, I understand. Emma looked at him, this man who destroyed her and saved her and changed her in ways she was still discovering. But I'd like to try being friends. Start from the beginning. Actually get to know each other without all the dying and betrayal. Hope bloomed in Adrian's eyes, cautious and fragile. I'd like that. No games. No manipulation. If you lie to me once, it's over forever. I promise. Emma extended her hand. Hi, I'm Emma Carter. I'm a photographer. Adrian took her hand, and this time his smile reached his eyes. Adrian Thorne. I'm trying to figure out who I am. It's a good place to start. They stood there in Central Park, two broken people who'd found each other in the worst possible way. Holding hands like a lifeline. Can I buy you coffee? Adrian asked. As friends? As friends, Emma nodded. Okay, but I'm paying for my own. I don't owe you anything, fair enough. They walked side by side down the path. Not quite together, but not quite separate. The future uncertain, the past complicated, the present fragile, but for the first time since that rainy day on Fifth Avenue, Emma felt like she was exactly where she needed to be. Not because fate had brought them together, but because they'd both chosen, with clear eyes and healed hearts, to try again. Sometimes love isn't a miracle. It's a choice you make every day, knowing the person beside you is flawed and complicated, and maybe not quite what you imagined. And sometimes, that's enough. Emma glanced at Adrian as they walked, caught him looking at her with that same wonder from 18 months ago. She asked, Nothing. Just remembering the woman who saved my life. I didn't save your life. The paramedics did that. No, Adrian said softly. You saved something more important. You showed me what it means to be human. Emma's hand found his, fingers interlacing naturally. Then I guess we're even. The city moved around them, indifferent and eternal. But in that moment, two people who'd been lost found something neither expected. A second chance built on honesty instead of desperation. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. And maybe that was the real miracle all along. The end.